Hariom. In this video, I would like to talk about Islam, the history of Islam that is not found in books, and very few people know these truths. So, I want to share those. So, how Islam started? A lot of people think that, well, Islam as a religion started as 1400 years ago from Muhammad. But that's not how it really started. It has a long history. It has very long history. So let me get a world map, Middle East map. Okay, as we can see the Middle East map, Africa is very close to Europe. You see in the Europe on the left side where it says France, Spain, Italy, and all the regions, white people used to live there. Nowadays there are a lot of red people there. Red people are Caucasian people. Red people used to live in Central Russia at one time. And yellow people lived in China and black people lived in Africa. As they populated, they came closer to the boundaries of each other and they started mixing. The clashes between white people and black people, that is the main thing, how Islam started. So from Europe, the white people moved into Turkey because they like to live near the water, ocean. It's likely because they have cold body and they like to stay warm in the sun. Also, it's pretty cold in Europe, but that's how they are. They moved along the the beach areas of southern Europe, and then as they populated, they moved toward Greece, Turkey. From there, they moved into Syria, Jordan, Israel, and in that area near Egypt, and they encountered black people. Now, this was more than 20,000 years ago, probably more, probably a lot more older. But let's say 20,000 years ago. Okay, at one time, there was a white guy named Abraham. His story is found in Bible as well as in Quran. Because Bible religion, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are very connected. They're pretty much same. So Judaism existed before Abraham. Note that. And Judaism, the ancient form of Judaism, started from black people of North Africa, of that region. It was their culture, their ancient ways of worshipping things and stuff like that. And when white people moved in that area, they adopted that culture of black people to compete with them. But since white people are not friendly toward black people, they don't like them due to their skin color, due to their low intellect compared to whites, due to the stronger physique of the blacks, especially their sex power in black men. And white men envy that. They wish they can have that. And that is the reason majority of white women used to go to black men to please themselves. It's also the case even now. The same envious jealousy exists for same reasons. However, What's interesting is white people don't have this jealousy toward red people, Caucasian, who have similar qualities as black people physically, but their skin is lighter, they have better looks, light red hair, dark red hair, light eyes. So white people envy red people in a way, in a positive way. They wish they could become like red people. They wanna be red people. They think red people are angels, red people are gods. So they always give respect, honor to the red people. Even nowadays, I've been in USA for almost 30 years, and I've seen majority of white people give high respect to Caucasians, red people. They talk sweet to them, they respect them, they compliment them, and they surround them. They take advantage of what they have, even their technology, high intellect, etc. And they have opposite reaction toward black DNA people, including black DNA that is mixed. Even there is 5% black DNA mix, white will consider that person to be black, which is very interesting. Even if the person has 90% white DNA, but like 5-10% black DNA, the white people will pretty much outcast him, calling them as black. Strange. That's not the case with red people. So, anyways, the white people moved in that area, Turkey, Middle East area. Some of them came down south around the sea because they like water. And there they found black people. So they had clashes with black people in Egypt, Libya. We find a lot of white DNA mixture in North Africa, especially around the Mediterranean Sea. A lot of clashes. It's a really long history of clashes. So Judaism was transferred, adapted by white people from black people. That is the reason Judaism sprouted in that area of Middle East, Israel, Lebanon, North Egypt, and not in the center of Europe. In fact, white people don't have their own religion at all in the history. Even the Stonehenge system was by the red people, Vikings. So white people, they have pretty bad history. They were mostly addicted to sex, perversion, and just staying around the water, laying around naked. They have very bad history, but they're very clever intellectual beings. Even though they're very clever intellectual beings, they're not like things maker. They're things stealer. They steal others' technology, others' science, others' intellectual properties, others' culture, and stuff like that. So also black people also moved toward the east into Iraq, Iran, Caspian Sea, southern Russia, Georgia, Armenia, that region. And there is a mountain range called Caucasus. On the north of that, red people used to live, whom they started calling Caucasians, which the word is very famous now. And then they moved towards Central Asia. They entered Central Asia into Russia. So basically, white people surrounded Russia from all sides, and they started going into their territories and slowly started mixing with them. In the south, they started mixing with the blacks. So there was a guy named Abraham in Israel area. He was a white man, pure white, no mix. And when white people used to live there, they used to employ black people to do their work as servants. So Abraham had a wife, white wife. She did not have any kids, no children, no child. So, as it is the habit of white people to flirt with other women who look sexy, black women have large hips, they have more sexy physique compared to white females who are usually thin. See, white DNA makes people have thin nose, thin long nose, thin long face, and thin tall body. So these and white females are even more thinner compared to the males. So his wife had a black uh, servant maid. She used to work for her. Abraham started flirting with her. You know, she was probably a sexy woman, the black woman. He used her sexually, secretly, for many years, for a long time. Eventually, she got pregnant. She gave birth to a son who was half white, half black. The white people in that village, they started, you know, telling the black woman bad things, negative things, that you got our man, you stole our DNA and stuff like that. So they blamed her instead, and then they kicked her out of the town. Humiliated, she came back to Egypt. Now, this was long time ago. This was probably more than 10,000 years ago, or could be 10,000 or probably more. But let's say 10,000 years ago. Later on, or it could be less than 10. Later on, she came in Egypt and she married. She had a strong urge to revenge the white people because she was humiliated, kicked out, and she walked for many days to reach Egypt. There she cried to her people, and then she started marrying the black man, and she had many kids other than the half white, half black kid she had, whose name she put Ismail. So this is a um, so she had more kids and more men, more black men as her husband. She pretty much formed a empire. She she was the pretty much she was the queen of this empire, which later became the Egyptian empire, who built pyramids and stuff like that. A lot of people don't know this. And they would take revenge toward the whites. They started attacking whites. These men started attacking whites. They would steal white women and rape them or forcefully marry them to their men. And this culture of rapes and forceful marriage exists even now in Islam. Pretty strange, isn't it? So that's how it started. And more mixture started taking place. White females, abducted white females to black males. And that is the reason majority of Middle East, Egypt, North Africa is mixed. The white DNA spread like that. So that's the story of how Islam has its roots. This hatred and revenge system continued for a long time, for thousands of years, until Muhammad was born, who tried to preach peace between the two. But before him, Jesus Christ already came, who stayed in India from age 14 to 29, 15 years, where he learned spirituality and all those magic tricks When he came at the age of 29 back into Jerusalem, started performing those magic tricks and people were awestruck. A lot of people didn't like him because he stayed with the blacks, so they hated him. The Jews hated him and they murdered him for that reason. They pretty much didn't accept him. The hate is pretty bad among the whites. It's it's just how they are, you know. So after Jesus, Muhammad came 600 years after, and by the time Christianity was spreading, fast spreading in Middle East, and the Ismaili people were rejecting it. We don't want it, you know. We have our own culture. The hate continued. So the Ismaili took advantage of Muhammad, made it, made Islam their religion, and started preaching Islam. And whoever wouldn't believe it, they would kill him or forcefully convert them. So this force culture of Islam spread all over Middle East. Somehow few Jews survived. I think they survived because they probably ran away from Israel, and later recently they came back. But majority of that area was converted. So, and then it spread into northward, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and then it came into Afghanistan, where mostly Mongolian, Chinese. Remember, Mongolians are yellow DNA people, meaning at one time they were Chinese, then they moved into Mongolian area a long, long time ago, more than 50,000 years ago. And red people used to live there in that central Russia region, and they used to have clashes. Then later on they came, spread around stuff. So Islam from Afghanistan slowly entered India by missionaries, clever missionaries whose only motive was to spread Islam into India, conquer India. And most of these missionaries now here in India, Afghanistan, situation changed. See what happened near Africa, North Africa, Middle East, or North Africa, mostly black power is there, black control. And when white DNA started spreading or mixing, then white DNA started taking that control. And then they started spreading this Islam into northern Middle East. So these white people from Turkey, Iran area took Islam toward Afghanistan and into India. See, this is interesting thing. Now here, Muslims were mostly white people, you see. And India was majority black. Black DNA people were in India with mixed with Caucasians, and on the east were mixed with yellow DNA. So now the whites, because they have hate toward blacks, they saw this nice opportunity to take revenge toward the blacks. So they started converting Indian dark skinned people, black DNA people into Islam, and taking that revenge, which they should have done toward the black people of Africa, but they're in Africa region, they were strong, more stronger than India was. Pretty weak, so had become weak. So they entered India and spread Islam and did a lot of bad stuff. So this is the story of Islam that is not taught in books. So I've covered the very ancient story of Islam, how it started, how white people started. So basically, these religions, Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, are same. They're fighting each other only because the fight is between whites and blacks. That's how they divided these religions and stuff. So that's the main fight, whites and blacks. And same fight they brought into India, whites and blacks. You see, Who is responsible for all this? Black people are not responsible for all this. It is the white people who have hate toward blacks who are responsible for all this. And they have hate for a reason. Because if they don't, if they become friendly toward black people, then black people who are much stronger, they will easily conquer whites, mix with them, and spread black DNA all over white kingdoms throughout Europe and everywhere. So white people will lose themselves up. So basically, to protect themselves, they have to do this. On the other side, white DNA people like to mix with blacks. This is very strange. They don't like black mixing with blacks from Africa, especially black men mixing with white women, but they like it mixing with black women, white men to black women. The reason is control. They want to have dominance over blacks. So when white men do toward black women, they feel they're more dominant. When black men pass their DNA to white women, then white men feel submissive, which they don't like. That is the whole thing here. That is the whole hate system that has been going on here. However, toward red people is totally different. It's the opposite. Red people are more dominant. Red people don't like mixing with white people because white people are skinny, they're thin, you know. But the reason they mix with the white people is because white people go toward them. They want to mix with them. They want red DNA because once they have red DNA, they feel they're equal to reds, that they have reached to a higher level. They feel gods. They feel more worthy. So they have mental problems. White people, their DNA is like that. So they push their females, white females, toward red men, and their females also willingly on their own chase red men. And this system is found even now all over the world, in Americas, in Europe, in Middle East, all over Russia. White people have conquered red people. Majority of that is thanks to the white females. They flirt with the red men, they have sex with them, then they marry them, they have their kids and stuff. Thus they've spread their DNA around. And because there is so much mixture nowadays, the two human races are considered as one, only white. So red people have lost their identity this way, which is pretty sad. I wish I can have some powerful people to come support me and spread this truth, so red people can have their identity back. And perhaps, if possible, they can have their Russia back, where they originated, and hopefully they can kick out white people from Russia. To understand how white people look like and how red people look like, you can visit my website. Watch my other videos where I've provided pictures. Basically, white people have thin body, long face, thin nose, long nose. Red people have square face, red hair, usually red hair. But if they have some white DNA mixed, then it's probably like blonde hair, blue eyes, and stuff like that. Red people body is stronger and more hairy. I think red people have most hairy body. They have thick hair. They're like bears. And they have large body. Their upper body is more like lions. Their behavior is also very calm compared to whites. Whites' behavior is very talkative. They want to talk. They want to argue. They argue with their own people. They argue with others also. And they just like talk. And if you don't talk to white people, they consider you something alien. something bad, and they will start cursing you. They will start humiliating you because they feel like you're not talking to them. They have this mental problem. Whereas red people are totally opposite. If you stay quiet with the red people, they respect you more. They think you're a very smart man or very wise person. You're quiet, you're peaceful, and stuff like that. Similar qualities are found in black people as well as in yellow people. See, only our species on this planet is the white species. So, Earth has four human species, I've said in many of my videos. But this is the summary of what's been going on in this area right here, and Islam how Islam started, and how it is continuing the same tradition, same things. See, the hate system was of whites, and then black people were taking revenge. But now the white people are very clever. They have switched the parties. They're like, now they're taking revenge toward blacks, adopting their own religion, like Islam. So a lot of white who are Muslims still don't like black, darker skinned people, and they want to make them Muslims, which is strange. They also want to make them Christians, and they also want to make them Muslims. So they're very controlling, which is, hopefully you understood these realities of Islam. And a lot of people who watch this video or listen to these talks, who are from other parts of world, who are non-whites or whites, will understand these truths and come to realize what's been going on in this planet. Basically, these religions are not really religions. They're very cultural oriented, based on hate and revenge. So the best thing is right now is these religions need to stop. They need to stop this hate and revenge process. Otherwise, there's going to be massive clean out, massive wars, which we can World War III, which will wipe out majority of these mixed populations from Central Earth, North Africa, Europe, Middle East, India. Majority of people, I would say 90 to 95% of people in this area will be wiped out due to these hates and revenge and stuff like that, racism, whatever you call it. And only few handful will survive. So the best thing is the leaders of these religions need to realize these truths and need to stop these religions. That's the best thing. Adopt religion that is more peaceful, humanitarian, that grows your mind into reaching your soul, like spirituality. This is what Jesus Christ tried to preach. He said, I came from India, where I lived for 15 years. I learned spirituality, and I want to teach the same thing to my people. But they have so strong hate toward black, they just didn't accept it. They didn't want. White people want something of their own all the time. They don't like blacks. They don't want their culture, even though they steal theirs. But they steal it and convert it, and looks like it's their own, like they have done to Judaism, Christianity, and stuff, and Islam, and I would say also Hinduism too, because they entered India a long time ago, adopted India and Hinduism, and now majority of Indians have white DNA widespread there. But these are the truths that world should know. Once the whole world knows these truths, everything will make sense. People will walk on the path of peace. People will try to meditate to find their own soul and be free from these hates and revenge systems of this planet. This needs to end, and either it will end peacefully or it will end in a massive wars which are happening right now and will only grow. So if you have any question, please email me or comment, and I'll be happy to answer and reveal more ancient truths that I know. Hari Om.